Alright, right now what we're going to be doing on this video is we're actually going to start the process of plotting polar coordinates. So what I'd like you guys to do in problem number 1, so I'd like you guys to label this as r, comma, theta. R, comma, theta. So please, on your paper, 2.5 represents r, 0 degrees represents theta. From the center, right here, the origin, I want you to count out 1, 2.5, and put a point right there. Because that's at 0 degrees. That is your answer to problem number 1. Seems pretty easy. That is your point. It says graph each point. 2.5, 0 degrees. I went out from here, 1, 2.5, and put a point. There you go. Now, we're going to go over here to problem 2. It's a little bit more complicated. All right? Problem 2, we're going to label this r and this theta. Now it says negative 135 degrees. Now, what I need you guys to understand is negative 135 degrees is the same as positive 225 degrees. So, if we were to start right here at 0 degrees, okay, I'm going to highlight something on the outside. If I go positive what? 225. That's going this direction. That's going in which direction? The counterclockwise direction. You would end up right about there. Negative 135 would be going in the clockwise direction, 135 degrees. So what I need you guys to understand is right here, in between, if I took 210 degrees and I added 240 degrees and took the sum of those and divided it by 2, okay, that would get me what? 450 divided by 2 is what? 225. So right here, this is positive what? That's positive 225, but that's also known as what? Negative 1.
Is that the answer?
Now, right here is where we are on the graph, but it says r is what? 3. So I count out 1, 2, 3, and then I go over here and I put the point right there. This is going to be simple as long as you know how to plot these.
We're going to be using the chart.
You're going to use the chart to help you out. Now, by the way, here's what I want you guys to do in your journal. Right now, I would like you guys to write down 3, comma, negative 135 degrees. Then I also want you guys to write 3, comma, positive 225 degrees. Now, if this was in radians, we would write it a little bit differently. If this was in radians, right now we're in degrees. These are your polar coordinates in degrees. These will be your polar coordinates in radians. I really didn't mean to make things easy. Alright, so why don't you guys go to your chart? What is 225 degrees written as radians? What is it? Look at your chart.
5 pi over 4.
So you write 5 pi over 4. What's 135 degrees written as radians? 135. What's your chart? What is it? 3 pi. We're going to say negative 3 pi over 4. Now, if you ever forget your chart, let's say you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot my chart. I don't know what to do. Just remember there is a formula. If I want to go from degrees to radians, take your theta, which is your degrees, and multiply it by pi over 180. If you want to go from radians to degrees, take theta and multiply it by 180 over pi. And that will give you your degrees. This will give you your radians. So if you ever forget, you can still use these formulas to do that for you. Okay? Bless you. So I'll show you right here. See that 225? Watch. Go to the calculator, type in 225, simply multiply that by basically 1 divided by 180. I'm going to leave the pi out of it, which is 1.25. That's the same as what? 5 over 4. So if you take 225 and you multiply it by pi over 180, don't put the pi in the calculator, otherwise you'll get an approximate value, and we don't want that. We want the exact value of 5 pi over 4 instead of the approximate. That's how you can change it. Look what happens if you put pi next to it. You say multiply it by pi over 180, Mr. Booth, so I just did what you told me. This is what would happen if you did that. That right there is technically equal to 5 pi divided by 4, but it doesn't write it as a simplified answer. That's why I tell you don't multiply the pi, just either multiply it by 1 over 180 or multiply it by 180. Okay? All right, back to our problem. Right here. The last thing we're going to talk about right now is how to plot the same point in 2 other ways. So right now, I want you guys to understand, in degrees, we could actually plot this polar coordinate in 2 other ways. By using not a positive 3, but you could use a negative 3. So right here, for the answers in radians, write down a couple of negative 3s. When it's all said and done, we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 points that all represent this location on this polar grid. All right? So right now, I'm going to clear this out. So all you see is this right here. Now, our answer right here, everybody, was right there. And we said one of our answers was a 3, negative 135. We said another answer was 3, comma, positive 225. And I said there's 2 other answers. A negative 3, another negative 3. Okay. Now, I'm going to change colors here to see if you guys understand what I could do to get there. Right here, if I am at a positive 3 here, if I go across the origin to the other side right here, that actually places me at a negative 3. Okay? So if I move this from positive 3 to negative 3, I would be going across the origin. Kind of like if I said I have x equals negative x plus 5, and I said, what do I want you to do with this negative x? I want you to take it to do what? I want you to move it across the equal sign. What's going to happen to the negative x? You become a positive x. So same kind of concept. Anytime you take this point and you move it across, all right, that would become the negative version of it. Okay? Now, everybody, this point right here, I could call this point technically 3, 45. That right there, that point right there could be called 3, 45. But watch what happens if I take this point and I move it across. What would that become? Negative 3, 45. Let me show you what I did there, okay? Right now, I'm going to go 45 degrees from the from the third ring. I'm going to go 45 degrees and put it right here. So that point right there is what? 3, 45 degrees. But if I take this point and move it over here, that becomes negative 345. I know it sounds kind of confusing, so I'm going to try it again here. All right. What if I put this point right here? We said that's what? A positive 345 if I were to start here and go up. Well, what if I were to start here and go, follow me? All the way around. How many degrees did I travel there? Close.
315.
That's it. 315. So if I take 3, by the way, this point right here is also, oh, negative sign. There we go. This point could also be represented as 3, negative 315. But if I grabbed it right there, I take that point and I move it right here. This point now becomes negative 3, negative 315 degrees. So these right here are 4 coordinates that represent this point right here. This point can be represented as 3, negative 135, 3, 225, negative 3, 45 degrees, and negative 3, 315 degrees. So that point right there can be written these 4 different ways. Now, you could keep adding and subtracting 360 degrees from that and get an infinite number of varieties. What we're going to do is we're going to write these 4 answers in radian form. All right? So we have a 3, a negative 3, and a negative 3. So right now, I need all of you right now to look at your chart for 135, look at your chart for 225, for 45, and for 315. I want you guys to look at that, and we're going to write all of your answers right here in radians. Now, if you're wondering what that chart looks like, let's see if I can find it real quick. All right, so here's the chart I was talking about. I'll zoom out a little bit, okay? These are all of your simplified answers over here. So I'm going to take a quick little screenshot of this. All right? So if I were to say, on this problem, 135 degrees. Now we're going to look at my chart. We'll go 135 and see where am I? Where am I at? I'm at 3 pi over 4. So right here, going to put negative 3 pi over 4. If I go to 225, let's go to the chart. 225, where are you at? You're at 5 pi over 4. So I'm going to write 5 pi over 4. Hopefully you haven't died yet. All right, at 45 degrees, you're at pi over 4. And at 315 degrees, you're at what? 7 pi over 4. So right now, I'm going to write a negative 7 pi over 4. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do one more problem like this on the video, and hopefully you can at least go back and look at this over again to see how to plot your polar coordinates. Unfortunately, that's the end of this video. If you want to know more, you'll just have to wait till tomorrow.